conducting a campaign like COVID. Whenever the COVID situation comes, most of the rural area people does not aware of it. But we took an innovative idea. Whenever I ring someone, the caller tune will say what I should do. So same kind of campaign our nation can adopt for the business email compromise or the phishing email attacks. That's one of the interesting point highlighted. And one good thing like the exploitation tools. We are talking about ransomware, we are talking about malware, phishing attacks. Are they really costly? If you think all these are freely available, you just Google it. It can be available in GitHub where you can change the code. Entire code is available. And you can just go to the YouTube and try to how to hack a phone or how to hack an email, how to do a phishing campaign. It is freely available. Coming to the defender side, can you try any defense tool which is freely available in GitHub, which is more comprehensive and more robust? So always the defender tools are too much costly compared to the attacker tool. That is the advantage where most of the people towards moving that, because freely available tools, free knowledge available. If I want to become a cyber defender, I have to come to like an institution like NFSU, or I have to go to certain trainings. So this is difficult. So that is the asymmetry between the attackers and the defenders. That is rightly pointed out. And another very, very important point, the cyber physical systems. So especially whenever we bought any kind of server or any hardware devices, do we have that kind of capability to verify is there any hardware backdoors inside the hardware? Do we have that kind of technology or the environment which is available, like side channel attacks? Not only now, in 2011, couple of the hard disk, one of the manufacturer has brought from the customer to them. They clearly know there was a backdoor which was kept in the hardware itself. So even till today, the common man, forget about the business, the common man is not digitally trust with the device or a gadget which he is using. So how do we build that kind of confidence? Unless you bring the digital trust, we can't move towards the digital transformation, because the trust will automatically enable the transformation. So that's one of the point where like universities or the government or the research institutions can work together. How do we test the firmware which is there at the hardware or the hardware backdoors or the side channel attack, which is quality? And the last important point, geopolitical. So what is the advantage to the attackers is the geopolitical boundaries. Certain country, they won't even cooperate. They clearly mentioned any attack which is coming from their land to the other country, they clearly mention, no, unless they attack to their own country, they won't reveal the identity. That is called cyber human identity. As a Anil, I have only one identity based on my Aadhaar card or the driving license or the PAN card. But cyber identity, I can create any number. Even it could be avatars, even the person should not be available. So these are the prevalent things which are happening. Based on these challenges, it is converting to the attacker as an opportunity to conduct this kind of attack. And already we have seen how much percentage of attacks is growing day by day, and what is the loss to the economy of the country, and it's purely a geopolitical issue. And next important point, like cybersecurity, already as Ashok sir has mentioned, what are the couple of the cybersecurity best practices need to be adapted. With this, I would like to thanks to Gaurav-ji, and next our eminent speaker, Karthikeyan-ji, please.
Audible now? Okay. So, good afternoon actually, it's 1 o'clock now. For any conference, there are two sessions which are very tricky for a panelist. One is just before the lunch, and one is after the lunch. So I'm mindful of your biological needs. I don't want to keep you hungry for long. Though I had presentations, I leave it as it is for you to look at it later. And I'll cover only two key things which I wanted to talk about. One is, what are the key technology trends that is moving our country, and what challenges is it bringing to us? So the first technology trend that is catching up and almost every industry is looking at is 5G. So we're moving from 4G towards 5G, and almost all the telecommunication providers are enhancing their environment to make sure that 5G is available. So 5G brings with it faster way of communication, the density is higher, and obviously the speed increases, and the security aspects also comes part of it. The second major technology trend that is moving the country is automation. particularly in the manufacturing space. With Industry 4.0, there is a huge thirst across manufacturing sector to look at digitization of their factory floors, converging OT and IT. So that's a huge trend that is catching up, where organizations are looking at taking advantage of technology to improve their efficiency, reduce human work, and also enhance the productivity. The third one, which is very much an increase, is the smart devices. So when this topic came to me from Digvijay ji, I was looking at, okay, what is that happening around me? I realized that in a family of 4, with 2 adults, a teenage boy, and a younger kid, we ourselves have 15 devices that is connected to internet any day. So invariably, in the urban population of India, I'm sure each household will have at least 10 connected devices connected anytime in the internet. So that around maybe a decade back, there was no concept of connected devices. Today, everything is getting tracked. So COVID brought in remote telemedicine, where we discuss with doctors do consultation over internet. We have our own smartwatches which tracks everything across. One interesting news article I read about is, there have been alerts, or rather campaigns, that go to individuals based on the amount of time they had sex, because the smart devices provide that information that this guy had this amount of sex, and then there is Viagra ads going to him. Today a week uses. So that data, which we will never even think about earlier, has become public. Only thing is anonymized, but that anonymization also is not that great. You still know who is doing what. I was just looking at my smartwatch, my Nike app that I have to track how many distances do I cover. Over the last 3 years, it has tracked almost every place I've gone through, every place have been working on. So that information, obviously, as he was talking about, data is a new oil, is a huge information that can be monetized. So there are a lot of organizations, like we were talking about Facebook in the morning, that wants to monetize it, that wants to provide customized ads and take advantage of it. The third or fourth one is smarter cities and safer cities. This is an initiative which Honorable Prime Minister started in 2014. In fact, the organization that I work was started because of that initiative. Converging technology with the physical world to provide efficient citizen services and safer policing. So what it means is, it is about making sure all the citizen services that today are being provisioned in a physical world, the technology assisted policing is what whole smart city and safe city is about. And the last one that is changing is, or rather it has caught up very much, is digital commerce. Post demonetization, I think at least in the urban population side, amount of people that use e-commerce as a medium for their transactions has increased a lot. It's manifold increase. And the last couple of months, you would have seen a lot of IPOs from these digital companies that are getting into the stock exchange. That means it's huge value seen across. So when these trends are taking shape in the country, there are also key challenges that comes along with it. First important challenge as a cybersecurity professional we face is the blurring of boundaries. In fact, the word endpoint to me is misnomer today, because endpoints, when I started career 2 decades back, was one desktop that used to be inside a corporate network, protected against with multiple layers of security. So we used to call this word called defense in depth. For an attacker to reach that endpoint, he has to, or he or she has to cross through a lot of protection mechanisms. But today, there's that endpoint is no more there, because that endpoint is actually connected to the internet. So instead of calling endpoint, we should actually call it as connected devices. It could be a device connected in your corporate network, or it could be a device connected to your house, or any conference room. So and COVID brought it very big. So all the protection mechanisms, all the defensive mechanisms we thought through, we have cultivated, we have worked over the years, just flew out of the windows. Because now there is no concept of endpoint, there is no concept of data center, there is no physical data center where you are holding your data. The data is held somewhere in the cloud where you do not know where it is. And Professor and the previous panelists were talking about cloud forensics. Where do the data reside? So that's a major challenge. Second, in terms of Industry 4.0, the point of legacy systems. Trying to converge OT, IT, we are trying to bring all the OT technologies connected to internet. These are technologies which never were intended to be on open network. These were closed systems. In fact, if I can quote it, around 70 to 80% of operational flows on OT technologies run on Modbus protocol. And Modbus is something that was created in 1970s. There's no concept of even IT security at that time. There's no concept of LAN, WAN in a bigger way than in MIT or a few other colleges. So that protocol is what drives operational technology across many industries, at least in India, wherever I have seen. And suddenly you connect an Ethernet port to the machine and expose it to internet. So what happens? A huge amount of vulnerabilities that are there that gets exposed. And these connected devices become a challenge. The third one is weaponization. So Colonel talked about weaponization. 10 years back, we were fighting to protect our devices. The devices that were under our control were the targets.